What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Chocolate City Hoops podcast. We got a good one for you start that shit over. Right. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Chocolate City Hoops podcast. Today, we got two of my biggest ops as Commanders fans here with us today. Would y'all like to say anything as Commanders fans? Do y'all have hope this year, yes or no? I think the answer is no. So we can reverse, let's start it over. All right, cool. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Chocolate City Hoops podcast, brought to you by LED Studios. Dare to be creative. Today we got a good one for y'all, right? We got ESPN analyst Troy Halliburton. How you doing, Troy?
I'm feeling amazing. Glad to be here, DJ.
All right, and we have the father of Wizards Twitter, Domo.
What's good, bro?
Yeah, man. My man Domo, you carve his face into the mountain like the.
Look, I'm just telling you, the algorithm on Wizards Twitter is.
Hey, come on now.
Look, you pull it up, and look, we could have a whole episode on the Mount Rushmore of Wizards Twitter, but I'm telling you, the first person that people gonna be talking about, Dom over here. You got a lot to say.
Hey, you got my vote for sure.
There it is. All right, man. So let's just go ahead and get straight into it. We got a whole bunch of good topics today, but I feel like it's only proper that we start off with what's happening currently with our Washington Mystics, right? They had 3 different draft picks. They started off hot, tailing off a little bit, but other than that, the young talent's looking good. So let's talk about it. Look, number 3, Sonia Citron. Number 4, Kiki, Do You Love Me, Area Fan? And then Georgia Amore, which unfortunately she got hurt before she could make her debut. But just looking at her tape, I can't wait to see her get healthy and be added to that group. So I'll kick it off to you, Troy. How you feel about them?
I love where the Mystics are right now. They're the youngest team in the WNBA. So, with them really pushing the timetable forward, I love the trade that they made when they sent Ariel Atkins to the Chicago Sky and allowed them to get the number 3 pick in this year's draft and bring in Sonia Citron, who was an All-American at Notre Dame. And to me, I think that Sonia Citron, to me, she reminds me of a young version of Natasha Cloud, of just that point guard, that 6'1". She can go out there and defend multiple positions. She can kind of set the table for others on offense, but she's also got the ability to put the ball in the basket herself. And then Kiki Ariafin, like she really has impressed me so much because, I think that she was very much overshadowed at USC, but playing behind Juju Watkins.
Yep.
And, the AP Player of the Year, she didn't really get as many opportunities to kind of show that her skill set. And so with her really getting the opportunity with some of the injuries to the Mystics front court players, when Shakira Austin and Aaliyah Edwards, who weren't able to start the season, I think she's really come out there and showed that she needs to be in the starting lineup. And I don't foresee her going to the bench, even with the 2 veterans coming back.
And then, look, hold up. Ain't she averaging a double-double right now, too?
Averaging a double-double.
She is.
Hey, look, and the rebounds, boy, they're real rebounds, but we ain't gonna.
Hey, don't do my girl like that, man. Don't do my girl like that.
All right, go ahead, Dama. What you got, man?
I mean, I'll echo those sentiments, man. Like the Mystics, I was kind of hard on them last year. They didn't draft my baby, but it's okay. It's okay. I feel like I'm hoping some of the Mystics' fortunes can get passed over to the Wizards.
Yeah.
And we can come out with 2 rookies, man. That's vying for Rookie of the Year. That's really contributing. So.
And I went to that first game, and man, like, you wouldn't be able to tell that they was rebuilding based off of the crowd and the hype. I mean, that was a Care First Arena. Yeah, that thing was packed.
Rocking.
And it's loyal fans, and just going in there the second that Sonia, right? Nice little buzz, boom. But the second Kiki, they announced Kiki, boom. Yeah. Like, it was just absolutely crazy. And I think, overall, it's good for the Mystics, and it's good for the W, too, that, like, right, all this popularity is finally coming. I mean, I remember growing up, right, when the Mystics first came to town, I mean, my pops took me to all them games, them and Wizards games. So, it's just nice to see that, like, not only is our community strong, in Chocolate City and the DMV, but, the WNBA as a whole is getting some more notoriety there as well. So, yeah. All right. So, shout out to the Mystics. Keep doing your thing. I will be at more games. All right. So, let's get to the next topic, and we just going to rip the Band-Aid off right here. The Wizards lottery. They ended up having They had a chance to get the number 1, number 2, number 3, and they fell all the way to the worst possibility they could get at 6. And the least likely number 1 overall pick went to the Mavs for Coop. So is the NBA rigged?
You know what? I can't say that the NBA is rigged because, we were having a conversation before we got on air talking about statistics and data.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the data, when the NBA flattened the NBA draft lottery odds, when you look at the NBA, when they flattened the draft lottery odds 6 years ago, so it used to be that the teams had an incentive to go ahead and tank. So you had teams where if you finished with the worst possible record, you had a 23% chance of getting the number 1 pick. And so now when they flattened those draft lottery odds, they made it so that all the worst 3 teams all had the same even amount of odds to get the top pick. And so when you look at it, the Wizards, they had a 48% chance of getting a top 4 pick. That means they also had a 52% chance of falling outside the lottery. So that's more. It's actually more percentage chance of them falling outside the lottery. So we really shouldn't have been as surprised as we were that they fell back as far as they did.
Troy, that was an astute argument.
The
analysis
Throw the numbers out the window.
I was like, oh, okay. I can see where you go ahead with this. Well, it was great. I mean, I agree with what you said, but forget all that, man. It's rigged, bro. It's rigged, bro. It was like, where was our data and analysis when we was playing mid basketball for 4, 5, 6 years in a row, and we ain't get number 1? We got Corey Kispert. Where was our number 1? Where was our Cade Cunningham? Where was our Ant Edwards when we was playing mediocre basketball for years on end? So I don't know, man. I just feel like it's real convenient, man. And I got smoke. I got smoke for Adam Silver, man. I got real smoke for Adam Silver. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it, man. It's rigged. Little handshake deal with the Luka trade. I got you on the back end. I'm gonna throw you flag. You know what I'm saying? You lose the European. You get the next American star. It's like, come on, man. Like it's crazy,
funny.
Man.
It's funny when you put it that way because I feel like I've gone back and forth. Obviously, initial emotional reaction. That's exactly how I feel. And then even when I tried to make more sense of it, right? The data, right? The data is always there. The numbers are always there. The truth is, the Mavs, just like everyone else, always had, or at least if you're in the lottery odds, were always had an opportunity, no matter how small, to get up there. It does seem funky though, how it's just like, oh, y'all got those lowest odds, and this would be that draft, right? But then I also think about it from your point of view, taking a little bit farther, is that the NBA is a business, and what teams always need to be in the running and the talking. It's always got to be the Lakers. It's always got to be the Celtics. It's always and then even from that standpoint. Because LeBron's leaving, and I think sometimes, at least my opinion, is that the NBA is concerned about who is that next star. There's been those conversations about who the next star would be, and I mean, what better scenario than Luka on the Lakers? Like, Lakers are the golden child of them and the Celtics of basketball, right? So it's like, I don't know if they want to go through. I mean, when Kobe was hurt, I guess it kind of made sense that the Lakers weren't making it, but even they couldn't stand that for a while. So we'll see, but. Yeah, I don't really have. I still don't know how to feel.
They threw a couple extra ping pong balls in there for them. Yeah, that's what happened. I feel like the process is legit. They threw a couple extra balls in there for them, man. The Spurs. Come on, Wemby is the next guy. Like you say, it's a business.
Yeah, and that's where I get a little frustrated though, because like then you start talking about like. It's not always the fact that it is 1, 2, or 3, right, or who's ever up there. For me, it's that so Wizards feeling like, damn, like again, like, and I think I've heard people on Twitter talk about the argument of last year. Well, last year was just kind of like everybody felt like it was a weak draft, so you didn't really feel, even though we did get number 2, and it's like we got number 2, it's a hype feeling. You just kind of felt like there was no defined star, and the truth is, Sarr could have gone number 1 if he really wanted to. It just kind of felt like a gimme draft. Like that's how, at least from the vibe that I've been getting from certain people. But yeah, that face of the franchise. Actually, before we even get into talks about 6 or 18 or 40, right? Here's what I'm going to ask you all: do we need a face of the franchise, or do we already have one on the team today?
Well, the Wizards definitely do not have a face of the franchise, and they are very much in need of a face of the franchise. And so when you look at what the NBA, the way that it's currently constructed, there are only really 3 avenues to kind of add that face of the franchise player. You know, you can go out and you can trade for them. You can go out and sign one in free agency, or you can hope that you get enough luck in the lottery and get enough ping pong balls that you can draft one.
Right.
And so with the Wizards, like at this point, we have to, kind of take our own destiny and our own fate in our own hands. So we can't rely on the draft gods to give us anything and say that, oh, we're going to get a top pick. Like we have to come to the realization that the Wizards probably aren't going to be able to add their superstar face of the franchise type of player through the draft. And so they're going to have to figure out a way to add that player with using those other 2 avenues.
And it's hard to believe, because how often have you been able to sign a face of the franchise or a superstar through free agency, the Wizards?
Well, in Wizards history, it has never happened.
There it is.
So that's
and you would have to trade, and then you would hope that player doesn't try to force their way out. And I think that's what they're trying to build. And honestly, it's a great sign that OKC is in the finals right now, because again, who assembled half of that roster before they left, right? We got Dawkins. And so it's good to see that, all right, we're going to draft. We just have to show that winning culture. But then I think there's a lot of other things that play into it that I think that aren't just strictly basketball too, right? I think building the new stadium that's coming to play will also do some things, right? Updated amenities, all those sorts of things. So it's almost kind of like free agency, draft, probably not going to happen. Trade, you can give it a shot. But I almost feel like just like how, SGA, when they traded for him from the Clippers, he was good, but I don't think anybody thought he was going to be like MVP good.
No.
Right? I knew he was going to be like good from watching him, but I didn't think he was going to be like that. You almost got to hope that somebody busts out and does that.
Right.
I would say, to your point of that, I would say even the Pacers, like the way they've built that roster.
Trading for Tyrese Halliburton.
They didn't have a face of their franchise. Like when they got Siakam.
Yes.
Even when they got Siakam, you wasn't expecting Siakam to come there and be the face, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like, we got a bunch of guys that are quality players. We got a primary ball handler, and we'll see what happens. And then Halliburton just exploded, and it just all works. And I think they're a small market. They're not going out. Nobody's dying to go to Indianapolis. So I think that's the path for the Wizards that, where that gives me some hope, where it's like you could do it through the draft, you could do it via trades, you could be a small market, and there's still a light at the end of the tunnel for you, because we're not going to do it the Laker way.
And that's what's so frustrating, is that the DMV does not feel like it should be considered a small market. Like, we are the DMV, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and
basketball,
a hoops town.
As far as like a hoops town, like we up there. Like, you're gonna argue with Chicago, you're gonna argue with the Bay, LA, New York, whatever. Hell, I know some people talk about Texas or Florida, but but here's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to the DMV, like, it's rich. You know what I'm saying? So I think that part is extremely frustrating, and everybody thinks about the 2016 KD to DC, and that just like I think about those moments, and I get trauma.
Yeah, well, the thing is about the KD to DC, the trauma comes from having bad leadership, who was even putting the fan base in a position of thinking that was a possibility when that was never a possibility. Yep. And so, when you look at the fact that the Wizards, or before that, the Washington Bullets, haven't been able to really gain ground in a professional sense in a basketball market, that goes to that's on the leadership.
Yeah.
So that's on the leadership as the reason why the team hasn't been to the conference finals or won 50 games since 1979. And so these are numbers that when you start looking at it, it gets really depressing. But this is why I am such a big fan of the fact that Ted Leonsis finally went out and said, you know what, the way that I'm doing it is not working. So I need to go out and find some people who are going to come in and modernize this thing and try to assemble a plan in place to see how we can move the Wizards into the 21st century as far as being a competent basketball organization.
Hey, Troy, anybody tell you need to be in the pulpit?
Hey,
Hey, this is a preacher, boy.
I am the son of a preacher, so yeah, look.
Preacher boy. Hey, if y'all ain't seen Sinners, free promo. Go see Sinners. Preacher boy. Hey, no. I feel that it just we can go down that line all day, but let's go ahead and just move on to the next segment before I start crying based off of this trauma that you just brought back to my life, man. All right, so we got 6. We're gonna talk about who we like at 6. We're gonna talk about who we like at 18, and then we're gonna talk about who we like at 40, and then we're gonna do one of our favorite segments here on the show, right?
All right, let's get it.
All right, so let's talk about 6, right? We fell to 6. Damo, you go first. Who you thinking at 6?
I mean, for anybody that follow me on Twitter, man, like y'all already know, I'm a Derek Queen fan. I feel like his skill level is really unmatched once you get out of the top 5. I think all the other guys projected around him and in that area, you got to do a lot of squinting. You got to do a lot of mystery box projecting. Some of these guys I think need 5 summers with lethal shooter, and it's just like I'm tired of kind of taking that player and hoping and praying that they develop some type of half-court game, and I feel like the Wizards got to get serious about getting a gravity player this year that can make Sar's job easier, make Bub's job easier, make Bilal's job easier, instead of us hoping and wishing that these guys develop something that they never really showed. And I feel like with Queen, he just has it, man. Like, in spite of the athletic testing, I think this game now is more about skill than it's ever been than athleticism. Nikola Jokic, obviously he's not that type of player. But I just feel like more than ever, you can win now with supreme skill without the supreme athleticism than you could in the early 2000s and the 90s. Just because that's just where the game is now. It's played in space and it's played in the half court.
Before you go, because I know you about to go in. Before you go in. So you talk about the athletic testing. We've heard that, right? Queen is dropping, right? Would you still take him at 6, even though you hear that? Would you think that you take that chance of maybe taking 18, propping up? I don't know, right?
Yeah, so typically I'm just not a fan of trading back. You didn't already drop far enough. If you feel like Queen is a all-star level player, what difference does it make? Now, if you can find a sucker that wants to give you an extra draft pick to hop up to 6 to get Fears or one of these other guys, do it. And you feel like you can still get Queen at 8, definitely do that. But I'm like, if that's your guy, you feel like he can play, go just take your guy.
Now, I like Derek Queen as a basketball player, and I think that he has a place in the NBA. I really don't feel like him going number 6 overall is something that's plausible, especially with the way that the scouts have been kind of tiering these players. I think that Derek Queen would be in a tier below another group of players. Like I think Trey Johnson, Con Knipple, Malawak, and
you saying he's with them or he's
no,
below?
he's below. I think he's in a tier below these players. To me, I think that while you very much emphasize the things that he can do on the basketball court, I think that it is worth the conversation of talking about the things that he can't do on the basketball court or the things that he would have to work on. His athleticism is not just poor for an NBA player. Like I think that he has poor athleticism for a professional athlete in any sport. And to me, like, no, I'm not even trying to be. I'm not trying to be funny.
I know.
I'm not trying to be funny, but it's like when you show up to the combine and you're overweight, you aren't able to really complete all of the tests and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like to me, like it's just like you're not taking your opportunity as serious as possible. This is a job interview, and if you can't even show up for the job interview and being in the best possible shape, then how am I supposed to be able to trust that you're going to come out and be able to do what we asked you to do over the course of an 82-game season? And so now I think that he's going to be an NBA player, but as far as your ceiling, you think that he has a ceiling of being an NBA All-Star, whereas I see him more of a Nas Reed where he can cap off and be like a great big man off of the bench. And Nas Reed won 6 Man of the Year, and that's a very valuable NBA player. In no way, shape, or form am I saying Derek Queen can't play basketball. Yeah. I just think that if you're the Wizards and you're already talking about the opportunities that they missed out on, not being able to get one of those top 2 picks, and so they're looking for that potential star to me, I think that they would want to go with the safest possible bet of a player with a baseline level of consistency that they can come in and help this basketball team win.
Who are you thinking then?
So, to me, I like Con Knuppel. And so for some of the same reasons why you said you like Derek Queen, it's some of the same reasons that I like Con Knuppel. Like, as far as this being a skill set NBA, when you look at what he can do as far as shooting the basketball, he is an elite shooter. He's not a shot maker. He's a shooter. He can shoot off the movement. He can shoot off the pick. He can shoot spot up shooting. And the thing that I really liked the most was that when he played minutes without Cooper Flag at Duke this past season, that he showed that he had requisite playmaking skills, so that he can put the ball in his hands, that he can run pick and rolls, he can pass out of double teams. Like, to me, I think that he has a feel for the game, and so while he may have some deficiencies on the defensive end, I think that his ceiling as far as what he can do on the offensive end far outweighs what people say he can't do on the defensive end. And so I like him as a prospect.
I almost like had a conniption.
A conniption,
boy. Because I as soon as you said as soon as you even uttered, I was like, oh nah. I was like, boy, my body froze. I was like, I know you ain't about to say what I think you about to say.
Hey man.
But way to make me a slight believer with your data there. And I don't know, like, I mean, because the first thought that went in my mind without, like, what's the difference between Con Knuppel and then Corey Kispert? That, like, in my mind, that's where it kind of went when I first started, like, seeing
I can go into some things. It's a big difference.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, when I first, like, started, like, watching him in something, like, when he was playing with Flag, it was like spot up shooting. Like, and I automatically thought to myself, oh, he's a shooter, but what's, like, the actual difference between him and Corey, right? And that's kind of, like, stuck. But I agree with some of the stuff that I did see that, yeah, it's like he could be more. But I'm like, is he the guy you take at 6? And that's that at least that was, like, my thought process, because it almost feels like again at 6, and maybe I'm stuck in that mindset of at 6. Are you trying to find, like, a star or somebody that connects well with your core? Like, do you just shoot for the moon? Like what does that look like? And we don't know what Doggins is thinking. For all we know, he could be thinking, Lamb, like, bump this 6. Like, we going to trade up and go get Ace or something like that. Like, something like that. So I'm just going to say different, because I like this, like, you like to ruffle the feathers, clearly. I'm about to just say,
oh Lord.
I'm about to just say
Jeremiah Fears?
Nah.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm not on the fear. The only reason why I'm not on the Fears train, it's weird because I know you're supposed to take the talent, but then I think about who we already had. Like, that's kind of like where my mind is, like, who we already have and the potential of what those guys can be. And I'm not saying you just don't draft Fears and just say, like, hey, like, let him battle out, like, let him work, and he may have a higher potential than who we have on the floor. But I'm almost thinking you just go, like, Igor.
Hey, I like how you thinking, brother.
I like how you thinking, man. You go for the potential, the talent, and just say, like, look, we already know we in rebuild. You shoot for it. I believe he does have that. I am a buyer that he can shoot. I think it was just maybe maybe he just didn't do it enough well at BYU, but that's my opinion. I like it. And that's what I'm gonna stick with.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother.
It was either that or
and you know what?
Malawatch, and I was like, nah, like I can't even convince myself Malawatch at 6. But I like Igor because of him rising too.
I like Igor Dimon as a prospect too. But my thing is, okay, let's talk about what the current state of the NBA and how these games are played. What kind of wing player can you put in an NBA playoff rotation who's scared to shoot the basketball? And for me, like, I think that when Diego Dimon played last year, when he started out the year, he started out so hot that people were thinking that he should have been a top 5 pick. Yeah. But then as the season went along, as defenses were getting more scouting reports on him and they were understanding his game a little bit more, they kind of like dropped on drop coverage. They were going underneath every screen, daring him to shoot, and then he stopped shooting. So, like, to me, it's going to be hard for a guy to come in and say, oh, I'm going to be a quality NBA star if I'm scared to shoot the basketball.
Well, he ain't going to come in and be a star. He just got to come in, get under coach, and grow just like the rest of them have. That's what I'm thinking. Like, you just come in, and if they tell you got to shoot, you go and shoot, you know?
So he been lighting up workouts, man. Like, he been lighting them workouts up. He's a legitimate 6'9", even if he's not a quintessential point guard, what if he's Franz Wagner? He can slide to the wing. Franz is not a shooter, but Franz get it done. You know what I'm saying? You think you potential maybe 28-8 guy. That to me is worth the gamble. Then I think you're taking like a designated role player. And I like Khan, but to me he's a designated role player. He's not Corey Kispert, but I feel like the thinking is the same.
Yeah.
Where it's like we're gonna take the safe bet. We know he's gonna be here, but we really need to be shooting here.
Like a complimentary piece.
Yeah, we know he's going to be at minimum a complimentary piece. I don't think he's Kispert. I think he's more of like a Bogdanovich.
Okay, yeah, I can buy that. I can buy that.
You know, he can go get you 20, 5 boards, 3 assists, 50, 40, 90 guy. But that's just not, I feel like the Wizards got to aim higher.
You know who else killed 1-on-0 workouts? Darko Milicic. Like, you know what I'm saying? We talk about 1-on-air workouts.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
He killing that chair.
Cones don't slide their feet. You're right. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Cones don't slide, bro. I'm with you.
Yeah. And the thing, like I said, I like Diego Dimon as a prospect.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I think that this is where it comes in, the fact that the Wizards have 2 draft picks. So, like, for me, I think that they should get somebody who they think has this baseline level of this is going to be an NBA rotation player. And then if you want, you can use other assets and trade up from 18 to get to 12 or 13 or 14 and draft a guy like Diego Dimon or Derek Queen. Like that was the whole purpose. And shout out to Will Dawkins and Michael Winger for making that trade at the trade deadline with the Memphis Grizzlies when that pick was the 27th pick when they made the trade and it ended up 18.
Yeah.
And
they
so
fell apart.
Exactly. The Memphis Grizzlies fell apart and that helped out the Wizards so much. And I think that pick is going to be so valuable for them to that's the pick that to me that you go out and you try to take a swing on a player, a gamble on a guy who could come in. Because to me, when you're going through a rebuilding process, the last thing that they can afford is a swing and miss. They can't afford to whiff on a player because then it makes it hard for Dawkins and Winger to go to Teleonis and legitimately say, oh, we have a plan in place as to how we're going to turn the franchise around. You can't say you have a plan if you're going out here and whiffing on draft picks. And so to me, I think that they have to really trust their scouting eye and go out there and pick what they think is the best possible player, regardless of fit for who's on the team right now. Because but if they weren't drafted by Will Dawkins, then there's no guarantee they're going to be here.
That's true.
Yeah, don't get attached. Don't get attached.
So, like I said, I like those prospects. I'm not saying they can't play. I just would not. I would prefer to take Dimon and Queen at between 12 and 18. Then I would prefer to taking them, outside the top 5.
I can feel you.
I can respect that. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's just go through these quickly. 18 and 40.
18, I like Sorber out of G-Town. I just like his size, his physicality, post skill. I like him more than Malawatch, honestly. The only thing I worry about is the foot injury. Bigs with foot issues. I get a little wheezy.
Yeah.
And then I would probably say Will Riley, man. I think he got some real scoring pop. To your point, Troy, about taking a shot on, upside. Like he's got some real scoring chops for real. He didn't really get to show all of it at Illinois because they got Kaz, but he got some real scoring chops. He just got to get an NBA body.
Yeah, so I like Sorber. I think that Sorber is a very good prospect with the fact that you look at his size and his dimensions. It really is really similar to a guy like Jared Allen, where you have a true center who's like he ain't going out there trying to shoot on a 3-point shot. He getting the ball around the basket and he putting you in the basket. And I like that, like a big man who knows that he's a big and really kind of caters to his skill set. But the name that I've been promoting since the draft started, Cedric Coward out of Washington State.
He took it.
Yeah, Cedric Coward is to me. I think if he's still there at 18, I think the Wizards would be lucky to get a 6'6" wing with a 7'1" wingspan. A guy who shot 40% from 3 and his 3 years in playing college basketball at different levels. This is a guy who, yes, he's 21 years old. He's going to turn 22 in September. But this is a guy who started out in Division III. Then he went to Eastern Washington. Then he went to Washington State. So this is a guy who's progressing. His game is growing along with him. And his trajectory is still going up to me because he still has a lot to learn about playing the game of basketball. But I think that, with his physical dimensions, like he would be perfect to come in and be. I think he has Will Dawkins type player written all over him.
And for me, at 18, right, I had Cedric Howard there at first. I think if was it Noah Essingay, if he
might be out of that range.
he might be gone. But that's why I said. But if he drops, right, again, because you took my, but if he does drop that low, right, you may look at somebody like him. I'm actually a fan of Fleming, right? If he's there as well, actually, I'd probably pick him over Cedric for me personally. But and then at 40, man, what's that kid from China? I like that center. If he's that low,
yeah, I can't remember his last
Hassan Yang, is it? Let me see.
Yang,
Zhu Yang, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Hassan Yang, like because he performed well at the combine. I mean, his draft stock is rising up, so he may be a late first. But if he does get to that 40s, I like him as well. All right, so we didn't have some stuff, but we didn't talked about. But now we're gonna go ahead and get into a little bit of predictions into our segment, right? Let's go ahead and bring it over here again. We already know what's about to happen. So why don't you go ahead, brother? Go ahead, assemble the crystal ball.
All right now.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There it is, boy.
Yeah,
boom.
Hey, you ain't tell me you was a real wizard.
He's a real wizard. Ultimately, Domo, like, what do you think Will Dawkins is thinking? What do you think they'll ultimately do in the draft?
Always thinking positional size, upside, of course. Defense. I said this on my man Greg Pod a couple days ago. I think they're going to have a shot at Ace Bailey at 6 because I just think the way the draft is going to fall after 2, we know who the top 2 are, Flag, Harper. I think Trey Johnson is going to go 3. At 4, I'm thinking Malawach. 5, I think the Jazz are going to surprise some people. It could be Khan, it could be Denman. It could just be the Jazz in their own world. And then I think the Wizards have a shot at Ace Bailey at 6, man.
Hey man, hold on!
Hey,
don't tempt me with a good time.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, you know what's funny about that is the fact that I feel like he and I have had so many conversations on Twitter about Ace Bailey. And so I know people are probably watching at home thinking I'm gonna be like, oh no, that's terrible. No, at 6, I love Ace Bailey. At 6, I would love the fact if they could draft Ace Bailey. So I'm all the way with that. I do think that I'm not sure exactly what the Wizards will do, but I do think that they will trade up and try to get the player that they want. So like when you look at the fact that Will Dawkins in his 2 years in the draft, they traded up in every draft that he's been a part of with the Wizards so far. And one thing that you definitely learn about his time at OKC is that when they identify a player that they like, they're willing to go out and expend the assets to go out and get them. So they don't care. Like even when they drafted Bilal Coulibaly, they traded up one spot up. And so what I will predict is that Will Dawkins. Look. What I will predict is that Will Dawkins will use his advanced scouting to go out and identify a player and move up to try to grab him. So that's what I believe.
But nah, hold on. You gotta. Who is that player? Who do you?
I think if they were to move up, I think they would move up for Trey Johnson. I think if somehow the Philly ends up taking Ace Bailey, and then so my source and information has it that VJ Edgecombe is pretty much locked in at number 4 to Charlotte. Then I think if Trey Johnson is there, then I think you got to call Utah up and see. Because the thing is, whether you're worried about Utah taking them or not, you could be worried about other teams coming from behind jumping up and taking it.
Exactly.
And so I think if Trey Johnson ends up being there at 5, then I think that's something that the Wizards should probably definitely look at and try to move up.
Yeah. And see, I was thinking the entire time like Trey nowhere gonna be at 6.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the thing. I don't think that he probably will be there. But in Damo's scenario, if Philadelphia identifies that they can't bring in Ace Bailey and have them because they want to try to win right away, and if they view him as more of a long-term project and they want to bring in somebody who can come in and help right away, then I think that Trey Johnson is the target for the Wizards to try to move up.
cool.
Crazy.
All right, y'all. As y'all can see, this has been some crystal ball predicting heated type of stuff, and I love it. I love every bit of it. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and close out here. Where can they find you, Troy?
You can always find me on the platform formerly known as Twitter, but now X at Troy Halliburton. Check out my new show, The Capitol Hoop Caucus, on ESPN 630 DC, airing every Saturday at 10 a.m. and podcast form coming out every Monday.
Oh, he was ready. I like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. You can find me on Twitter, of course, Domo8186, and with my man Brendan on the Wizards Gallery Place podcast, and then I be all over, man. So
He definitely be all over.
And look, this is my first podcast guest. Look, I see him on Greg Finberg's podcast. Like, this is, like I said, when you brought it in the introduction, this is truly a founding father of Wizards Twitter. So his face is carved in the Mount Rushmore. So if you want to follow anybody with the Wizards talk, you gotta follow my man Domo.
You definitely do gotta keep up. Like, so, and I guess I'll give y'all's flowers too, man. Like I said, I just started out in this game and listening to y'all, whether it's, you used to do Locked On Wizards way back.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Way back in the day. I ain't know who the hell this boy was, but I was like, he was just talking. I was like, I kind of agree with him on it. Like, he's speaking truth here. So, thanks to y'all for kind of sparking that light in me to even give me the courage to do something like this. So I appreciate y'all. But anyways, this has been a good one, and yeah.